Hello everyone. This is a training course for the teachers education. Today let's talk about something super important, gender in society. Specifically what's going on with education and property ownership. You will wonder how gender plays a role in these areas. We will discuss the impact and ways to make things better. The presentation outline are as follows. First, we give brief introductions, then learning outcomes, learning readings, learning activities, and finally learning resources. Introductions. Gender is the social characterization of being men and women in society, which has given them different roles, opportunities, powers, and status in various sectors of society, including in education and property ownership. In line with the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, our focus today is on key goals: the ensuring inclusive and quality education, promoting lifelong learning, achieving gender equality, and empowering women. Despite these global aims, gender disparities persist, affecting education and property ownership. Education, a fundamental human right, and property ownership are cornerstones for economic empowerment, are marred by gender based challenges. Addressing these issues is a crucial step towards fostering a society where opportunities are genuinely equal for everyone. There are some learning outcomes. After completing these videos, the learner will learn the following two outcomes. The first one is explore the gender issues associated with the education in society. And the second one, analyze the women access to ownership and control over land and other forms of properties with respect to gender perspective in society. Now, some learning readings. How learner learns. The topics under the following discussions. The issue of gender differences in education poses potential obstacles to achieving equal access for both men and women to quality educational opportunities within society. Persistence gap and inequalities persist in access to education, particularly affecting women who find themselves marginalized within the educational process. Recently, there has been a growing acknowledgement of the significance of increasing gender equality in education. This recognition reflects a broader understanding of the challenges faced by women in accessing equality, equality in education and underscores the importance of addressing these issues to create a more inclusive and equitable educational environment. Gender equality in education. Gender equality in education signifies the assurance of equal rights, responsibilities, and opportunities for both men and women. This commitment involves considering the interests, needs, and priorities of both genders, acknowledging and addressing the diverse requirements of different groups of women and men within the educational landscape. By fostering an environment that recognizes and supports the equality of all individuals, we aim to create a more inclusive and balanced educational experience for everyone. And the gender equity in education. Gender equity in education involves a process of allocating resources, designing programs, and making decisions from a perspective of social justice. The key is to address the needs of both men and women without any bias based on gender, ensuring that educational institutions rectify any imbalance in the benefits available to males and females. The overarching goal is to guarantee that everyone, irrespective of gender, has access to all opportunities, thereby facilitating the attainment of social, psychological, and physical benefits within the realm of education. A gender issue in education. There are some issues of genders related to education. Addressing gender issue in education involves a commitment to ensuring equal access for both boys and girls across all levels of education, guided by principles of equality or equity tailored to the specific context of the society in questions. Here are key aspects to consider. The first one is equal access for all. The goal is to guarantee equal access to education for boys and girls, breaking down barriers that may exist at various levels. This includes creating an environment where both genders have equitable opportunities to pursue educations. The second one is equal opportunities and preference. In the enrollment process and the selection of academic course, it is crucial to provide equal preference, access, and opportunities for both boys and girls. This extends to demonstrating performance and choosing academic institutions, irrespective of whether they are private or government owned. The third one is promoting women in academic employment. Encouraging the employment of women or girls within academic institutions is a significant step. This involves actively working to eliminate cultural barriers that may hinder women's participation in various roles within the educational workforce. The next one is eliminating gender bias and stereotypes. In a society, there are gender biases, some stereotypes occur. A vital aspect is to eradicate gender bias and stereotype from the teaching and learning processes, particularly in rural or marginalized societies. This includes challenging preconceived notions about gender roles and capabilities. The next aspect to consider is gender friendly curriculum. How to make gender friendly curriculum and implement it in universities and schools is equally important. Developing and implementing a gender friendly curriculum is essential. This ensures that educational content is inclusive and free from any form of discrimination or violence against women, fostering a supportive and empowering learning environment. The next one is building capacity for academic empowerment, strengthening the capacities of women and girls in academic activities is crucial. This includes providing support and resources from the school level to higher education, ensuring that they are well prepared for meaningful participation in the global job market. The next one is breaking cultural, social, and religious barrier. There are so many barriers in the society. Overcoming cultural, social, and religious barriers and disparities, particularly faced by women, is essential for ensuring their access to quality education. This involves challenging ingrained norms that may hinder educational opportunities. The next one, adopting gender friendly pedagogy. Pedagogy is an important aspect to consider any educationist, any teacher or trainer from the perspective of gender balance, from the perspective of gender equitable pedagogy. Implementing gender friendly pedagogy and inclusive education practices are key components of creating an environment conducive to learning, especially in rural or marginalized communities. This approach ensures that education is accessible and relevant to all, regardless of gender. The teacher always need to empower every um, uh, girls students and marginalized students and the students who are mm, under underprivileged. So the equitable adopting equitable pedagogy for teaching learning process is very important from the perspective of gender. In embracing these principles, educational institutions contribute to creating a more equitable and inclusive educational landscape where individuals of all genders have the opportunity to thrive and reach their full potential. The next issue related to gender in the society is the property ownership in society. First of all, let's describe the what is the property ownership means. Understanding right property ownership in society means understanding right and control. Property ownership serves as the formal recognition of an individual's or multiple individuals' right and control over a specific type of property. When ownership is legally documented, it delineates certain responsibilities and rights to the individual holding ownership. In society, people have access to right over and control of various forms of property. This encompasses right and control over essential like land, food, housing, water, forest, likewise vehicles, and other productive and economic resources. There are two primary forms of property ownership. The first form is individual property ownership. If a single person holds ownership of a property, it is termed individual property ownership. This individual, known as the owner, possess, possesses both the rights and control over the property. The next one is joint property ownership. In case where more than one person shares ownership of a property, it is referred to as joint property ownership. This arrangement acknowledges the collective rights and control held by the multiple owners. The term owner is designated to the persons with ownership over the property, implying that they have both the right to and control over the property. In essence, property ownership establishes a legal framework defining the relationship between an individual and the property they possess. Gender in property ownership. Property ownership extends beyond the mere possessions. It confers power and control over various aspects of society. Unfortunately, it has become a gender issue as the majority of property ownership is held by men, creating disparities and challenges. Studies, notably Gadis 2020, underscores a struck gender imbalance in property ownership, eh, revealing a higher likelihood for men to possess property. And this is not merely a matter of individual right, it's a foundational principle crucial for human right, gender equality, and overall economic development. It is noted by Ravenhurst and Bean 2011. Likewise, Gadis 2020 further states that equal property right and recognizing non-monetary contributions are paramount, especially for married women. These factors prove more critical than inheritance rights or equal remunerations laws, shaping the landscape of women's property ownership. Uh, in developing nations like Nepal, uh, social and cultural barriers persist, impeding women's access to land ownership and other property rights. International Organization for Migration 2016. These reports indicate the theme. The patriarchal system exacerbates these challenges with male family members typically inheriting parental property and dominating land related transactions. The absence of proper legal and administrative support exacerbated the problems, limiting women's ability to own land. However, there is a glimmer of progress. Tax exemption have somewhat spurred land registration in women's names, offering a potential avenue for advancing gender equality in property ownership. The journey towards equitable property ownership is not only a matter of right, but a transformative step towards empowering women and fostering a more inclusive society. Gender issue associated with property ownership. These, these issues is very crucial in today's society, particularly in developing countries. How can we address this issue? The first step is to provide equitable resource access for men and women, ensure fair access to resources, including land and financial assets for both women and men within families. This is a first uh, mm, first thing. How can we address this issue? The second one, discrimination elimination. There are certain discrimination in the society, particularly in developing country. So we have to eradicate cultural, religious, traditional and legal discrimination, particularly against women, optimizing their economic potential. Uh, we have to consider the contributions of the women by recognition of women's contribution, acknowledge and value the significant contribution of women in the economic development of society, especially in developing countries. The next one is empowerment and violence elimination. Empower women with rights, access, and control over property, while concurrently working to eliminate domestic violence against women. The next one, leadership and awareness enhancement. Promote women's leadership roles and enhance awareness across social, political, technological, technological, uh, cultural, religious, educational, and economic sphere to eradicate gender discrimination uh, in property ownership. Mm, mm, Government and NGO support motivate government and non-government organizations to actively support women's empowerment in all sections, including employment and economic activities, securing a more stable and empowered life. This condensed approach aims to create a society where property ownership catalyzes gender equality and empowerment, fostering an inclusive and mm, just community. These are the approaches to address the property ownership, particularly gives right to the women. This property ownership creates power in all aspects, all forms in the family as well as in the society. Now, the teacher, this is a training course for the teacher education, so the teacher can apply variety of approaches to present this document, to present the gender issue related to education and property ownership. The first method will be the facilitate students to review and discuss the concept of sex and gender in society and motivate them to share ideas on such concept with example in their own context. For example, sex is a biological difference of being male and female. The gender is a social characteristics of being men and women. Society creates a gender, but so we we can make the gender equality in the society. The teacher can facilitate the students to share their ideas, to share their understanding in the classrooms. Likewise, the teacher can help students to explore the issues related to gender in education and list such issues in the global context and comparing their local context with the global scenario. And the teacher encourage students to find the ways of minimizing and addressing gender issue in education in their own context. Teacher can encourage students to give some live example in their societies, and uh, can encourage students to talk about the issues in the class, to talk about the issues in the society, to talk about the issues in the some educational platform, in some seminars, in conferences, etc. uh, Guide students to analyze the property ownership with respect to gender issue in society and motivate them to explore the women access and control over land, house and other form of property in their own context. This is very crucial. This is important. How the property ownership is being an issue in their own context. So the teacher need to facilitate their trainer or their students to um, to write or to speak something about their cultural context related to the issue. The another method is the teacher need to empower students to explore the social barriers to women for property ownership in their own context and find the possible ways of promoting women empowerment in getting access, right and control over property in society. The teacher can motivate students to prepare a reflective note on gender issue related to education and property ownership in a society. And this video is prepared on the basis of some online resources. These resources are listed as follows. Anyone who is interested to this course can download these online documents and read more rigorously to prepare the understanding on the concept. Thank you very much.